Welcome back, everybody. League of Inches podcast, Supercoach Tradies show. Keen as to get into this one. Missed it last week and listened on the drive back from Sydney, and it was a cracker when it was mixed in together. So for a huge show, separated again, going back to the usual ways, and again joined by Trav and Jesse. Keen to absolutely rip in, and you know how the Tradies are. We just literally get into it. So there's no fart assing around. Basically, we just bang, bang, bang. I'll go straight to myself. Actually, I'll start us off. My trades this week are. I didn't want to do it, but I've actually had to go two trades. One for Joey Manu, who's out for 4 weeks. I don't want to hold. And the other is Joey Lussick. Now that Harry Grant's not playing, I don't want to go 2 weeks in a row with no hooker. So I need to have a hooker play. So I've done that as well. So for trading them out, so I've gone Joey Manu to Greg Marju. And then I have gone Joey Lussick to Jake Simpkin. So just to plug a gap, he's playing the next couple of weeks for Manly as well. They play next week. So I don't know, just get me some points. I'm not hoping for a miracle with Simpkin, just some 30 or 40, 50 points if I can get it. And that would be absolutely beautiful. That will leave me with 11 trades and 215K in the bank. Quick opinions with those trades, boys. I'm the freshie. I'm the novice.
Well, I like the Manu to Marzu because I'm doing the exact same. So it'd be hypocritical to not. And I can't knock the Simpkin move because I did it bloody last week. So, realistically, I think they're fair to a point. Obviously, Harry Grant being out again kind of screwed the pooch for you a little bit. But yeah, like if Simpkin's your play this week, I brought him in last week to just make cash. And I'm on the boat whether or not I play him this week and not get a viable hooker myself to boost elsewhere. But I think he's a good play for the next week or two, just until we have a bit more idea about what's happening with Croker. It's just you run the risk of like him being benched for him and scoring 15, 20 points down the line. But how many times have you looped this year?
Once.
Yeah,
Twice.
I really don't think it matters, to be honest with you. I know it's an AE nightmare, but again, it's only that if you have an out or have to loop. And it's like, well, we don't really do that every week. So it's not a problem. It's just a good cash down. He's so cheap. He's 236K.
That was my thinking behind it, because I thought, because obviously with 200K, I could go up a bit and get someone a bit more steady in a way. But for mine, once Origin's over and Harry Grant's playing, I'm going to be playing Harry Grant. I don't want to ever reserve my hooker. I haven't had two hookers play yet this year. So I'm more than happy just to run Simpkin down. And I'm hoping Kroger's back within the next 2-3 weeks. And I'll just basically see you later to Simpkin, hopefully. So, and that keeps that 200K or so plus in the bank. And obviously with some big names coming back from injury and wanting to probably get to them over the next couple of weeks, I'm hoping that is enough to help me get to a couple of those players. Trav?
Yeah.
My opinion, sorry.
You can go your
like
opinion
it.
if you yeah, perfect.
Yeah, I like it. And so does 13,000 other people, plus everyone else that got Marzu last week. So I like that trade. And I like the Manu down trade. I think just that the luxury cash. I said in the podcast yesterday that I think that play, the Manu trade's going to open up a few doors here and it's going to make it for a really interesting top 5K as to what everyone does. And I think that's and because you can't do the vanilla trade in, like you're going to have to find some pods and some point of differences moving into the rest of this year. And Marzu's looking like he's not going to be a pod. So what are people doing? But I do like the Marzu trade for people like me and you, where our ranks are at the moment, Joel. And I'm not a huge fan of your Lussick to Simpkin trade. But I see why. And you kind of have to, because you do want to keep, you do need to, and you want to keep Grant. And you sort of, that's a no-brainer. You've got to keep him. And I think he backs up from Origin. He's just had 3 weeks off by the time he plays and comes back from Origin. So I think he backs up. So I think you're pretty sweet for 20 and onwards. So, yeah, I'd probably look at, my opinion is, I think you've got enough cash just off the top of my head for Brandon Smith. I kind of like the cheese for an option at 400k.
Yeah, I was going to say the same thing too. Brandon Smith's only 370.
I see you got more than enough yet.
Yeah, so but again, like if you're doing that comparison between Brandon Smith and Simpkin, like it's over 120, 30k. Like it's not cheap, you know what I mean? For what could be a very similar output. When the Roosters look like they're back to it again, does Connor Watson go to 9? You know what I mean? Like, do things shuffle around? Does Cheese get booted back out again? Like, I just don't know. But if you have no intention of playing him, obviously Cheese isn't around 19 number either. So that kind of hurts him on that side. And again, with the Roosters, they got that bye in a few weeks' time. And then you kind of just have him too. Like you've invested an extra 130k into him with the intention to basically never play him again after this week. So, like, I see it, but yeah, I don't know. It's just kind of not worth it in a way, is it? You sort of just have to think enough territory.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, I don't want to spend too much on my second hooker. As I said, I don't plan on using him at all once Origin 3 is over and done with. So it'll be Harry Grant and reserves on other players in other positions. Trav, let us know your trades this week and then also your trades remaining and cash remaining.
Currently, my cash remaining is 684,900. I have 11 trades left. I am still undecided what I do. One trade will be Armstrong to Marju. I will go the Marju. Well, I think I'm going to go Armstrong to Marju. My other trade that I'm thinking of is I really want to get rid of CNK, Chance Nickel Klokstad, but the whole Fletcher Sharp Ponga news has kind of thrown a spanner in my plans. So I don't know where and what I'm going to do there. So I, at the moment, are thinking I'm going to go Nickel Klokstad to Keeney.
Oh, I love it.
I wasn't.
Damn.
I've thought of this in the last couple of hours as I've sat here trying to play with my team. There was another option that Jesse actually brought to me about, because I have Ewan Aiken. I have Max Plath sitting in my 2RFs and Aiken sitting in my center wings, doing a bit of a play around with Jules and getting a big time, like a real big gun in, and trading out Cody Walker. But I think I'll just keep that for a little while and keep that on the back burner until after the buys. But yeah, it's because there's no other fullback. I just don't know. Like Turbo's come back this week, but I'm not getting him because I just want to. I want to see what happens. I don't actually even think he's going to last a few weeks, to be in my pure opinion. And then, I'd love to see what happens with Ponga and he's a wait and see for me too. And whether he hangs around or what he does. And this, I think it's silly talk that he's going to play Origin, or there's a chance of him being picked. I just don't think that's right. I mean, we're already, and I said this before Origin 2, that we were already playing a Reece Walsh that hadn't played for 3 weeks after getting belted from in Origin 1. I think it's too big a risk to then come and play Ponga, who's missed half the year already. That's not something I'd do. So yeah, I think my only option is actually Keeney, but he's sitting at 670k and he's got a break even of -40. Like that could be my ticket to him sitting there, plug in a hole for 19 and 20. So that's the buy and the mini buy that's going to hook me up and be sweet. And then that could be my ticket to literally Dylan Edwards or anybody. I could literally get anyone.
I really like that, eh? I really like the Keeney play. It's bloody tempting, isn't it? Just the negative break even, it's just so appealing. And I suppose if you got someone around that like 650, 700k, like Pappenhausen, for example, or a CNK, or anyone really at that price point, it's easy money. And he's been so good. He's been better than basically all the others. So,
yeah.
Damn.
Like, I don't have to get rid of Chance Nickel Klokstad, but I really,
like
really bloody want to. Like he's
Yeah.
great. Like, to me last week, I was like, no, I said to everyone in the podcast last week, Chance Nickel Klokstad, he'll have another bet. He'll have a breakout game. He'll be back. He'll be back. He's had a good year. He'll be back. And he didn't. He gets to 24. So now he's got another. He lost 80K. Now he's got another break even 134 in a tough matchup. Like it's does he go again? So I don't have to get rid of him, but I kind of do, because if I don't, I'm going to be stuck finding it really hard to trade. And yep, I've got a lot of money, but that money's my ticket from Brooks in 2 weeks' time to going from Brooks to Hines or Brooks to Cleary, who's coming back in round 20 apparently. So I need that cash. So I don't want to sit on that for much longer.
Very low ownership for Keeney as well. He's only currently owned by 3,500 people, and he's only been traded in by 550 this week. So like, there's not anyone flocking to Keanu Keeney, and with the projected of 87, he's due to make 113K. And you look at his last few games. The last game 153, 112, 43, 132. Like that's 3-round average of over 100. Far out, man. I feel like
I
it's
literally
easy
just
money.
need him. I literally just need him to get me 60, 70 over the next 2 weeks and continue to make another 200K, and I'll be sweet.
There's a good chance if he does that, he's the most expensive fullback in the game, which is insane.
Yeah, if Edwards drops down, yep.
Yeah. Well, Edwards is what, 940, 115 break even. He'll probably get close, probably get about a 70 or 80 or so at least, and then hover around the 900. Keeney's he's 700. Next week he'll be almost 800. The week after that, probably still have a negative break even at 800K.
Yeah. And if it continues to keep playing the way he is, he's supposed to play every round for the rest of the year. And really, if I look at it, I see 2 tough matchups, 25 and 27 Roosters Penrith. So like in an ideal world, I'd have to trade him at all, but I plan on having to. But Sharks this week, I think he's in for a good one. And then he's got Para, then he's got Manly, then he's got Dolphins, then he's got Broncos, then he's got the Sharks again, then he's got St. George. Like his run for the next 6 weeks is immense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You don't
I've
think there's
sold
any
myself
risk
more
of
and more.
Yeah, you don't think there's a risk of Campbell?
No, I think they'll be a bit more careful with what happens with Brimson.
Yeah.
I think Campbell goes to 5. I think that's the Titans, and I think that's what Desi's been trying to set up this year. I think that's what he's been trying to get at. He wants Campbell to be at 5'8". So the only risk would be maybe Brimson going to fullback, and he knows Brimson is not going to play fullback, like in my opinion. So I don't think there is a risk, and he's played too well. And he's played for too long. Like he's played 1 and 3 and then 10, 11, 12, 14, 15, 16. Like, so he's been playing.
Yeah. Yeah. But again, it's only because Brimson has been out.
Yeah. But I don't reckon
now that
play.
like in a fit team with Brimson, Campbell and Keeney together, like someone has to make way.
Brimson will go to centers.
Yep. That's what I reckon.
Yeah. I
float,
said it yesterday too. Yeah, I can't see Keeney getting dropped. I really can't see Keeney moving from that spot. And I think he's a freaking fantastic buy. And you know what? This chat about him is bloody swaying me really, really hard. And I don't really have a fullback I'd like to trade, but thinking about what could come from it.
Yeah. See, and I'm in the position. No, he doesn't. And he won't get it. And I don't think he should. But
there's no reason for him to.
No, but I just got to keep him. Like I just think it's a no-brainer for me, the way I've got to go with it. And for me, who's sitting at 18K and really wants my overall rank to really push high, I've got to find a move and I've got to find a point of difference. And I think that's one of them.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of it. I really am.
I love it. But I'm sitting with Teddy and Edwards at the moment, so I'm just
you don't
happy with that. I'll leave that. Jesse, what about your trades? And then let us know your cash and trades left in the run home.
Yeah, so like yourself, I'll be doing the Manu to Marju play. I think it's just a bit of an easy option, a bit of a cash grab at the same time. But yeah, I really like it. There's no reason for me to not do it, to be honest. It was kind of like last week with Nakora. It was just the obvious play, kind of just going against it just because of the sake of it. The second trade has me a little bit confused now because I was already sort of on the fence about replacing Marshall King because I have Simpkin. And like, I don't want to be relying on Simkin, but again, he's a number for me this week and next. So I thought I could just, cut ties with Marshall King and get Damien Cook, and then have a hooker for the rest of the season, like I planned with Marshall King in the first place. That move, doing that, will leave me with 217K in the bank and 10 trades left. So I'll have a hooker sorted. My center wing is pretty solid. I want to do one or two more things, and then my fullbacks will be Teddy and Pap. But it just depends what happens with Pappenhausen this week, I suppose. Like, I'm more than happy to, if Pappenhausen gets ruled out this week, he doesn't play next week, and then it's like, do I sit on him for 2 weeks, or do I do that Keeney play? You know what I mean? Like yesterday, like we were talking about it yesterday. I think it's a great buy, and then obviously talking about it now out loud, I'm like, far out. You know what? It could be the difference maker to get up, because realistically, I don't see where I'm going to find 300K at the moment with any of my players to push up to any of those big guns. Like, I'd be relying on Pap going ballistic in the next 4 weeks to make the money I'd want to get to a Ponga or a Latrell, because that's essentially the end goal. Like, with Ponga back fit, I want to have Ponga in my side. Ponga and Teddy ideally would be the way that I'd like to end the year with. And yeah, I just don't know if Pap kind of has it in him at the moment, considering he didn't come back super fresh and he's not really fit at the moment. But if he's not named, I could be changing that up and going Pap to potentially that Keeney move as well, following suit with you, Trav, just to make that coin, ride him out until around 21, 22, maybe even longer. And then, yeah, once the tables turn price-wise, I could just flip him and then sort my hooker out when Kroger comes back. But that's the thing. If it's not Cook this week, it's not Cook at all, I think. Because by next week, he's going to be close to 750, 800, thereabouts, depending what he scores. But then, obviously, by around 1920, all the hookers open up. Like, all of them become an option. So,
am I right in thinking I'm not a massive fan in the Cook trade? I think there's a
No.
lot of caution signs coming up for mine for Cook, because we're relying heavily on the South Sydney Rabbitohs to continue this run, and they've got to continue it for some time. Not questioning they can't do it, but then my thing is, if the wheels fall off like they did for majority of the year, does Peter Mamazoulis become their main guy, knowing that Damien Cook's going, and he just starts to get low minutes? Peter Mamazoulis gets the major minutes, and then people are getting stuck with Cook, because by then you don't probably have many trades left at all. It's probably the last thing you want to do is trade a hooker. You want to look at some of those bigger players coming back, like your Clearys and stuff, and if you haven't got Hines, etc. So I don't know. I don't think Cook is a great play. I don't know.
Yeah, well, like, his numbers in the last month, 2 months even, have been better than everyone else's in the
Yeah.
hooker position. So, he's doing the work. Like, it's definitely there. But, like, was he doing that for a contract? I don't know. He's obviously signed with the Dragons now, so that's the thing I suppose you sort of got to look at. But then again, like, are the Souths gonna put themselves in a worse position to not utilize having Cook while they have him, when they're trying to push for a late season run? Or if they start to lose, do they just cut it off and go, you know what, forget about it, we'll just run Mamazelis? Because their last 2 games, I have to check, but I think it's Melbourne Penrith or
Broncos Manly.
Broncos.
Sorry,
Broncos?
sorry. Penrith Sydney.
Penrith Roosters, there you go. So I knew there were 2 hard games to literally end the year with. So, they're
and
not
Melbourne
ideal.
in 23.
Yeah. So it's like, that's what I mean. Like, they can't not play Cook for these games.
Unless they're out of contention.
But even then, like, do you really, really want to put Mamazelis in that cauldron?
Yeah.
Yeah,
probably not. Probably not.
Like,
Like, it's not going to be there anyway. Let him go.
And I think you've got to bear in mind the Rabbitohs have 2 games from the 8, right? So they've 16 points. The Dragons and Cowboys are 7th and 8th with 20. But the Rabbitohs have played 14 games, right? So, and the Dragons and the Cowboys have played 16 and 15. So instantly they're basically tied with 8th spot right now. So there's got to be some serious things for them to over the next few weeks for not to work out for any of that option of Mamzellis coming in for Cook. I have the same concerns. I'm kind of why I don't need to go Cook, but yeah, I love the trade, and I don't think I have that concern for Mamzellis, but yeah, I don't think I wouldn't put, and I don't think they do put him in that cauldron coming up to end the year in Storm, Roosters, Penrith. There's your guy for next year that you want to belt him over the head like that. Yeah, great way to go into preseason.
It is tough. Just a quick one, and we forgot to talk about boosts as well. How many boosts do we all have on the run home? I've got one still. Got one floating around.
Yeah, I got one as well.
No, I got none.
When did you use your last one?
A couple of weeks ago, just before the 16.
Yeah. I actually have no idea yet. I have no plans in place, Jesse, of when to use mine. I actually am I forgot I had it, to be honest.
Yeah,
I looked
it's kind of at
today,
this
I was like,
point.
oh, shit.
Yeah, it's a bit risky now at this point to even use it because trades are getting so fine. It's like you really have to commit to that move. And if it's not something that's going to, really change the tables, like I have a feeling that the boost that I used, this last one, will be something that I do to get in, like when I want to get Angus Crichton back or Cleary or any of these guys. Like it'll be a 3-player, 2 of them will be
Trade
elite.
to enough.
Proper, 2 will be proper guns. Fingers crossed it wouldn't have to be enough if I can kind of work around it. But yeah, essentially that's it. You know what I mean? Like if I just need that extra bit of funds, like that'll be what my boost is for. But yeah, I didn't have a boost this late in last year. I had used them all up pretty quickly. So it's a bit of a luxury thing. But again, it's like I wish last year, come around 25, I had one because everything changed. You know, and everything changes in those last couple of rounds. And if you can change with it, man, you just fly up the ranks. So it could be worth holding until around 25, 26 and really shifting, what you've got. But then you have to remember, like, keep the trades that you need to use the boost with. Like, you need to have 3 trades come that round left over. So, yeah, might be a Hail Mary in round 27.
Well, as I'm trying to hold off trading next week already, so I'm just going to see just roll with the punches next week and just try and build up for the weeks ahead. Let's talk about Jules. We didn't get to talk about them last week. There was a couple of big ones that came in on, I think it was Monday, it was confirmed. So those players are Blaze Talangi has had his center wing and fullback added. For Jules, Cody Walker, 5'8" and halfback. Jerome Luai, 5'8" and halfback. Jack Whiten, center wing and 5'8". Bo Fermor, music to my ears, second row and center. Sandon Smith, halfback hooker. Bailey Hayward, halfback and second row. And Jackson Ford, second row forward and front row forward. So I think for mine, obviously because I have him, Bo Fermor was the one that I really appreciated. That just helped me quite a lot. And he's been scoring quite nicely. Like, I just keep thinking, he might be the guy I move on. And each week I somehow need him and I need a number from him. And he actually manages to produce most of it. So I'm happy with him at the moment. Might just hold him for now. Trav, what do you got for the Jules? Anything that sticks out to you?
Yeah, I was going to mention the same thing, Bo Fermor. He's a definite hold for me. I think I don't have him, but I think you should. If you do, you hold him. I love the Cody Walker duel, particularly being a Cody Walker owner. And that gives me some flexibility around how I change and some trades and things with Jules, like I sort of alluded to in my sort of what I was planning on doing for trades in a few weeks and coming weeks, particularly around if the Rabbitohs do start to drop away or don't get in contention. Is that a way to, what do they do with some of their players? So I'm pretty keen on that. And I actually really like the Blaze Talangi center wing fullback option too for holders of Blaze Talangi. Just that extra option to throw him down if you have your likes of your Pappenhausens or do you if you take your risks with your Pongers and stuff like that, with the ability to be able to flip him down and do what you've got to do there. So I like those 3.
Yeah, as you said, this one has been, I think the last one that they did sort of really didn't impact too many, I felt like, but this one has just been pretty handy for a number of people. I think it's helped flex become a lot more flexible for a lot of super coaches. Like the halfback 5'8" now, it's off its head. There's like three or four legitimate players that are in a lot of teams that you've just been able to flick through. It's just so handy in this run home. Jesse, anything that sticks out to you?
Yeah, well, obviously, like I'm a Blaze owner as well. So the dual fullback is handy, but at the same time, like I've got Kyle Lero and Garrick, who are both, or all three of them are dual center wing fullback. So it's not like he's, the be all for it. But yeah, I suppose if you had players like Furmore or Walker, it's just really convenient to just have this really handy dual come in, because all of a sudden it opens up so many options when it comes to moving your players around. So I wouldn't buy them because of their duals. If I had them already and they got their dual, I'd be stoked with it. But yeah, I think it just opens all the doors up, really. And like, there's been a few of the half 5'8s come through this season that have not really been there. Like specifically 5'8s covering for their halfback, because there's been three of them between Luai, Dylan Brown, and Cody Walker. Obviously, Tamari Martin kind of got the raw end, but yeah, having the option to just move halves and 5'8s interchangeably, it's massive, because 5'8's always been a wasteland. So now that there's options, yeah, it does make it quite nice. But seriously, like if you've got players like Trav does, where you've got options at 5'8, you've got options at dual second row with center wings and center wings that are 5'8s as well. It's like you can make a 5'8 turn into a front rower all of a sudden. You know what I mean? Like there's that much flexibility now with the duals coming through. Obviously, it's the last one, so kind of just have to make the most of what we've got. But yeah, it hasn't really affected me too much, to be honest with you personally. But again, like I kind of knew that going into this dual position update. I didn't really have a lot of them besides Blaze. But look, you got like Jackson Ford. If he can get himself a decent role, as cheap as he is in the 400s as a dual position, front and second row, like it's a nice little cash down option if he loses a bit more too. Like, yeah, you've got options now to move things around. And I think, yeah, it's probably a good time to start looking at these duels if you do want to make the like future trades and like setting your final team up, because sometimes it's all it really takes. Like, I wish I could just move this guy to someone else in this position. No one else looks appealing, but there's some definite starters in that pack that you could viably start each week. So,
yeah, I agree. Well, actually, no, you know what? We'll go VCC options first. We'll get that over before I absolutely forget that as well. What are we thinking this weekend? For mine, I'm locking in at the moment. I'm putting the VC on David Fafita against the Sharks side for mine that are a bit on the ropes. They look a bit defeated in a way. So I think Fafita trying to get that origin spot could become a beast mode on Friday night, and that might be very, very good for us super coaches that do own him. So I have a little nice V on him. For the C, I just can't go past him at the moment. Tedesco, I've left it on him. I was tempted to bring Edwards in, but I just have this feeling the Broncos are really going to aim up on Friday night against the Panthers. This is like for mine, their grand final, come a few months earlier than they would have liked, but they're in that stage of their season where I think the Broncos will be desperate. So the Roosters just seem to like versing the Dragons in recent times. They like to put some points on them. So I just think Tedesco and the Roosters might continue that. So I'll stick with the C on Teddy, which I did last week. Jesse, this time you can go first.
So for my VC this week, I just want to make sure that I've got the matchups in the right order. Yeah, I do. So that's cool. I'll be VCing Jerome Hughes against the Tigers. I am very tempted to just captain Jerome Hughes because I think it's going to be a bloodbath, and I'm very keen to get involved in that. Which would then involve me VCing Dave Fafita instead. But at the moment, the way that I've got it set up is, VC Hughes, captain Teddy against the Dogs. I think he just does bits. He's been killing it this year so far, anyway. So, pretty confident with that. And I don't think I'll really change off it. But again, like if Hughes puts up 120 plus, like very hard to ignore a little loop action. But
just quickly saying, Hughes 822K. It just looks nice to look at, knowing that if all else fails, it's a nice little way to get to clear of it. At the moment, as you guys have discussed last week and a little bit last night, I almost just want to keep him. Trav, what do you think in C and VC wise?
Yeah, though I've already got the VC on Hughes. However, I'm not 100% locked on that. I potentially go Katoa for a bit of a chat, for a bit of a pod move. If the Storm put up a 70 piece, as Jez said in the live show, I reckon Katoa's got 2 or 3 in him for that, which puts a very big score. But the other side of that is if they do put up a 70 piece, it's because and with that, Jerome Hughes probably touched the ball in every one of those scores. So one of those options, but I actually think it's safe as houses to put a VC on either of them. And I think you're going to get a decent score. So I'm looking at that. And then my C, well, hopefully I don't have to even bother with it. But I'm going to take a risk on that again and go Dom Young and see him lock in another 120 against the Dragons.
I hate not having him. I really, really hate not having him. It just gets to me
It
every
sucks,
week.
doesn't it?
But,
Every
yeah, there's some really, really good options this week. There's really good options.
There are some juicy matchups, but I also think there's a few matchups that are a bit. I know there could be not surprises in terms of results, but I think could be a little bit closer than some are anticipating, like a 70-point result. Some cuckoo on here predicted in the live show. I don't know if it'll be that much. I think the Tigers that like that, look out.
Yeah. I don't know.
Yeah. I think I don't think the Storm have got any issues this week, even with all the injuries. I think they've got a win locked in, and I think it's about a 30, 40 points. And if that's going to be the case, you've still got Katoa getting at least 2 tries, I think. So I think that's a pretty safe bet, 2 tries. But I think Hughes has got to play with it to do that, especially in the rain. But if you look at, like, I've written down all my sort of options of what I thought. Latrell Mitchell on tomorrow night is very, very tasty for a VC against Para. Fafita against the Sharks on Friday is very good for a VC or C, even a straight C. I think that's delicious. And then even bigger, I look, as much as I don't want it, I can see you all putting who's an owner of Hines, putting something on Hines for a bounce back game. I think that you can't go past that. That's really, really good. And then if you want it, you can even go. Yeah. Yes, I'll lock that in because I'm about to make him one of my fullbacks. But see, then you look at the Broncos Panthers game, and Reece Walsh has got to do something. He hasn't done anything for a long time now. So and Broncos, do they win? They've got to win, or they lose 5 in a row. Penrith have got to. Well, don't have to win, but otherwise they lose 2 in a row. And we all know Penrith don't lose 2 in a row. For them to do that, that's, I think, going to be on the back of Dylan Edwards at a monster game. So, there's another really good option. And that's just before Friday night. That's the end of Friday night.
Yeah, it's huge, isn't it?
So it's
so many players.
It's not hard. It's got to be a wonderful weekend for footy this weekend. And I think for Supercoach, there's going to be a few people sitting behind couches going, oh shit, I didn't pick them. I hope they don't turn up.
Well, the most popular vice captain this week is Nico Hines.
There you go.
Yeah, so he's the most popular overall too, not even in the top percentage, but just overall coaches, he's the highest. And then Jerome Hughes is second, and then it kind of drops off a little bit. You're looking at 8.2% overall and then 7.5%. So, everyone else after that, you're sort of looking around the 3% as Teddy, Fafita. AFB surprisingly up in the mix too, which is a bit surprising. But the most popular captain option, yeah.
Steer very clear of
see
that.
it too. Yeah, I don't love it.
That.
By far and away, the most popular captain this week is the one that me and Joel, we both captain. It's Teddy.
Yep.
And I can't knock it, to be honest. I think he's been the most viable captain option for about 4 weeks. And in a year where no one can seem to get a captain right, it's like almost just set Teddy and forget. He just seems to do it every single week. So, but yeah, Jerome Hughes again.
That Origin recall, game 3 decider at Suncorp.
I just don't think he's going to get that, to be fair.
No, he's not.
But Jerome Hughes, second most popular captain as well. So, yeah, they're all sort of going to it, but it's pretty popular outside of that. Hines, Sam Walker, Dylan Edwards, Dom Young, Nathan Cleary somehow is 2.9% captained.
That's probably because That's because the last 20,000 players have stopped playing and have just left the C on him for the last 20 weeks.
Essentially, you kind of just have to whittle it to the top 10% to get an accurate reading on these
Yeah.
things, but it doesn't change much. 62% in the top 10% have Teddy captain. So when you're looking at those sort of numbers, you're almost thinking, is it worth anti-potting Teddy, or do you have to stick with the masses on that one?
That's the question, isn't it? Like, if you are in that range, you know, like you're almost at 62% at the moment. It'd be interesting to see whether that drops. Like, is that just a now and a bit of a game that people are playing, and looking in some of their head-to-heads and stuff? But geez, like when it's at 62%, you almost have got to go with the masses, don't you? Because if you don't and it doesn't work,
you get left behind.
You're getting left behind. You've got it. It's kind of the same as why some of you, like particularly you, Jesse, who's right up there in the top 3K or just under 3K, are trading Marzu, like, because that's what you're all doing in the top 1-2%.
Yeah, pretty much. And it's almost like it's too hard of a look to not do it though. You know, like I know at this point you sort of have to look at the pods. It would kind of go this way when everyone's looking at one player. You've sort of got to deviate a little bit, but when the buy is as clear and obvious as it is, it's like I'd love to go the pod option. I'd love to get Brian Toto in this week instead. You know what I mean? Like players like that, they're just not heavily owned, not heavily traded. Realistically, they're the ones that are going to push you up the ranks. So it's like, oh, far out. Do I have to miss this guy because everyone's getting him just so I can do something different? It's like, yeah, kind of. You sort of have to.
You got to start asking questions now of, am I happy just to plot around the 2,000, 3,000 mark? Or if I make some pod moves, I can potentially get myself right up into the 1K. But if I make those pod moves and they don't work, I'm pretty happy to fall to 10, 15K.
Yeah, because that's
and that's what you've got to wonder. That's your payoff. That's what you've got to do. See, for me, that's what I'm thinking of, because I'm sitting here going, Jesus, this is a horrible, horrible year for me so far. So I'm sitting here going, all right, I'm going to make some moves, hence the Keeney, hence maybe a Dom Young for my captain, and going, I want to get into that top 5K from where I'm at. So I've got to make some of these moves. And that's what makes it so much interesting for me. That's why I'm so invested in Supercoach at the moment, because I can make some of these moves. And then I can watch you guys and help you, Jesse, and talk to you about what you're doing up in the top end.
Yeah, no, that's it, man. I love the pods too. Like I really do. And like looking at Marzu's numbers increase this week, it was always going to happen. You know what I mean? Like obviously Ponga coming back, the negative break even are really coming off a massive score. It's like, you know, the recipe for a perfect trade in. And then I watched his numbers go from like 4, 5, 6, and all of a sudden now he's 15% traded in. And you're like, okay, I guess that's kind of it now. But yeah, it's still a worthy trade in. He's still going to score well. And then that's the thing too. Like, is he going to score better than the player that you're potting against him to? Like, who's the alternative? You know what I mean? Marzu puts up 80 points at 500k. You get someone in who's 650k who puts up 80 points. It's like, okay, fair enough. It's not the same player, but the points were the exact same. Yeah. And now you've spent up a bit more for no reason. So
there's still a lot of risk with the Marzu pick. There's still a lot of risk. Like up until last week, he was still only averaging 44. So there's still a lot of risk. And then last week he got his 108 or whatever, he got 118 or something last week, 120 or whatever. I don't have him, but and that was without Ponga. And now we're all going, Ponga's back, so we're all flocking to him, thinking he's going to do it. And you know, if you go by history, last year he was averaging almost 80, and Ponga was a large reason on that left edge. So we're all going all in, but there's still some major risk. It's, you know, I can see why. I actually thought going into this week that Marzu, straight after that game, Marzu would actually be traded in a lot more than 13,000 by now. I thought he would have been sitting around but I can see why people aren't as well.
Yeah, and like that's the thing as well. Like it's at the moment sitting at 12,500 trade-ins. It's not that many. You know what I mean? His ownership was already quite low. He was only owned by 5.5 before this week. So that puts him up at around the 20%. It basically puts him around like 18 to 20% ownership. I don't know how much of that is in the top 5, 10%. I would imagine probably a fair bit though, because obviously Manu was quite heavily owned in the top 5%. And the Manu to Marzu's, the trade is the most popular one this week.
Mm.
It makes the most sense. Like you look at just that trade in alone from Manu to Marzu, that alone is almost 5.5, bit over 5,500 by itself. And then you've got other players like Suafalongo and David Armstrong and Chance and all these other boys. Like there's a fair spread, but the majority is, Manu to Marzu. So the bulk of the players that had Manu in the top pack are now just going to have Marzu. So nothing's actually changed. They're just going from, A to B, maybe banking a bit of coin.
They got the cash.
Yeah, the cash is going to be a benefit, but it's the same thing. Like they're all doing the same thing. So, but like it's a good same thing. I don't hate it. And like the
I'm
negative
locked in a
12 break.
matrix. I'm Matrix here. I'm just. This is sensational, boys. Honestly, this is absolutely. League of Inches fans, viewers, you're getting spoiled. This is the lineup. You're starting to talk about trade, so let's go into the traded in and out list as we go now. I think people have got a good idea of who to VC and C now.
Yep.
I think what we'll do, because I think we've spoken about a lot of these players who are already going to be on this list. So go through it, and then whenever if you feel like there needs to be a point made, make the point. Otherwise, me and Trav will just sort of buzz in with our name, I guess, if we do want to talk about someone as you go, and we'll go. Otherwise, we could be here for 4 hours, and no one wants that.
No, look, I do. I'd love that. Might help me make a trade.
Yes, honestly, guys, if he would stay up all night. He would do an 8-hour episode and just talk Supercoach, and Jesse would be in heaven. He would actually.
How's that for an idea in the preseason?
Yeah.
Oh, we'll get there. We'll do a massive one. We did a few in the.
We
did some.
Let's do that in person. Let's do that in person.
Yeah, we'll get a council board around. We'll sit at a round table. But yeah, no, we did the team previews. 3-4 teams that are run. It was like 3-hour potties each. It was massive. So for the traded in players this week, obviously touched on it just briefly then before. Greg Marzu is obviously the most traded, 14.4%. I don't think there's really too much more to talk about Greg Marzu, is there? We sort of spent about 10 minutes doing that.
Pushed up 400 trades in the last hour.
Yeah,
somehow we're alive.
12,800.
It's a late push now. Nico Hines is number 2. So yeah, it's at 741k for Nico Hines. I get it, but again, like you can wait a week if you really want to. But what are you going to do?
You can, but you also want that 150 if he gets it. So
exactly,
I can see why he's in. I can see, and 118 shit for Nico Hines and his past. That's nothing.
Oh,
so
I'd be going 118. He's going to make money on that.
I get it.
Yeah, so I do
I'm
like
hoping
it.
not. I'm hoping not because I want to get him in 2 weeks' time. So I'm hoping for a real big drop. But yep,
I'm not. I'm praying for a bloody price rise.
I'm with you, Trav. With you, Trav.
Third most traded, Damien Cook.
Makes sense.
Yeah, I think it does too. Obviously, I don't think you're a big fan of it, Joel, obviously, but yeah, it's basically everyone that has Marshall King.
Marshall King.
Yeah. And
Gladiators out.
It's the exact same trade that I've got teed up too. You know what I mean? Like going that money from getting Dom Young. I just looked at him down there. He's on my mind. From getting Joe Manu out and going to Marzu basically funds the move from Marshall King up to Cook.
Yeah.
So it's a very easy swap to do. Which is why it's probably one of the most popular ones.
I think the odds of him playing out the year are higher than the odds that he doesn't. And Mamazels comes in. I think here's some interesting ones. So the biggest one for him is 1,800 of making the Marshall King to Cook trade. I really don't like the Marshall King to Marnie trade, just because he doesn't play next week. The draw's not great for the Bulldogs. I don't like that trade. I see this one, which I actually found interesting. I didn't think about this at all, but Harry Grant owners, 948 of you have traded him to Cook. And I see it because Grant's not playing this week, won't play next week. But what's the rest of their buy for the coming up?
The
yeah,
Storm. I don't think they
yeah,
have one.
no, and then after that comes back for 20 if he backs up, which I think he does, but that's still not a lock. And he comes back and plays Sydney, well, the Roosters in round 20. So, like, that's not a. So I can see the Grant trade, and I don't mind it. I don't mind that.
Yeah, there's one for you, Joel. Get rid of Grant. Keep Lussick.
Well, you're going Grant to cook for the rest of the year.
Yeah, well, that's
No
the thing.
thanks. No thanks.
Number 4.
And having enough of Lussick.
Yeah, just keep him. Save yourself a
No,
trade.
I wanted to get rid of Lussick. Like I got rid of Lane. I can't have them in my team anymore. Makes me sick.
You just, yeah, it's a principle thing. You're not even just doing
Yeah.
it because you, yeah.
Yeah.
Number 4 most traded in, Will Price.
Don't like it.
Yeah, neither do I. I think
I
you're
hate
over.
it.
You're
Hate it.
jumping the gun a week. Look, he scored 60 with a try in a game they pretty well. I didn't watch the game myself, but the scoreline suggests they did a fair bit. It's his first game though, so we'll have to just wait and see what happens. But why do you not like it, Trav? What's standing out in that one?
He's 345 is an awkward price. So you're not trading him down to enough, because if you're going to nut, that's just stupid. You can nut him right down to someone in the low 200s. He's only played one game. And as I said, as you said, it's a 60 with a try. So there's a large chunk of his points based in that one attacking stats.
And it was a very highly attacking game as well. So
Yes, yeah. Well, there you
from a
go.
star 5'8", he'd get a lot more points than that.
Yeah,
I don't think he's a play in your 17.
Yeah, and I'm not sold on how much he stays either. I think there's a lot to play out in that Knights team and what's going to happen here. And Ponga coming back too. The ball's going to be in Ponga's hands. If they're going to go on this run like they did, and we're all hoping they did, like they did last year, 9 in a row that they did. I think the ball's going to be in Ponga's hands, and they're not going to put in a rookie. So I just don't. And I'm looking at it here, like 1,000. Like he's been traded in 4,000 times, but 1,000 of them are from Manu to Price, and there's so many better options. So many better options.
Yeah, exactly. You're going from an elite center wing option that you comfortably play and potentially could captain to someone who is a fringe 17 at best, I reckon. So
yeah, and my rule is never go early. Just unless you're nuffing it, don't. And even then, that's not even fits the rule. Just don't go early. Never go early.
No, you give yourself a free shot at another week. But at this point in time, like he's not a player you get into then trade away for a bit of coin. He doesn't make enough coin in the next few weeks to be worth trading back out again. So, number 5, Bradman Best. I suppose Knights have been pretty popular after that game. They've sort of gone a bit nowhere for the last 2 months, but all of a sudden everyone's flocking to him. So, I just think 650 is awkward as well for him. Like at that
I
point
was
in
going to
time,
say that.
it's a lot of money to spend. You know what I mean? Like it's very expensive. I like the upside. Too many other players to be going Bradman Best at 650. If Bradman Best was what Marzu cost at 500, I'd probably be more enticed by it, to be fair. Because I would probably lean that direction just to not go with the Marzu move. But again, I think if the prices were very similar, it would be a very even split between the two of them. But
I see it.
I agree.
I don't dislike the trade for Bradman Best. It is an awkward price of 650, and I think you can lock in a better CTW gun. If I was going Best, I'd actually hold off and wait for Garrick and see what happens there. That's probably what I would do. But I see what he's doing, like a 5 break even. His average of 62 now, but he got 130 on the weekend. He's been pretty consistent across the board of a team that's been pretty inconsistent. Ponga back. I see it. I don't mind it. I won't do it. I think there's better options. I do just want to ask, he got 130 on the weekend, and how much of that was his last 2 tries and the intercepts that he ran 100 meters each time?
A lot.
Well, line break and a try for 2 of them. That's almost 60 points.
Yeah, so he's got half of his points in the last 5 minutes.
Yeah.
Good point. I'm not a fan of that. I don't know if I'm wrong for saying, but I think if you're spending that much money at this time of the game, you're wanting it for a keeper in your team almost. And I don't think he's someone that you want to keep all the way
Yeah,
through.
I
Like
agree.
there's
And that's why I
much
said,
better options.
Not
I agree. That's
particularly.
why I said hold out. Like if you can hold out to a Garrick, I think that's a big play moving forward in a couple of weeks' time. I'd
Yeah.
hold out on that. And for what is it, 70K more or 60K more, bloody go and get Toto. Seriously.
Yeah.
Go and get Toto. Like,
Yeah. Or here's one for about 15, almost 20K less. You could pot out Brian Kelly.
yeah, love him.
Yeah.
I was going to
I
make
really-
a
People
point of
get
him later
very
on. Thanks for
excited in
that.
this game with these big score games, and they go afterwards. It's very reactionary with the way they do it. Like I get he's got a low BE, but like if we asked anyone 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago, no one would have touched Bradman Best. He's had a
No.
massive game, and as Trav said, most of his score has been the last 5 minutes for a Parramatta team that's just down in the dumps. He's not going to get to verse that every week. He's
Yeah.
I just,
Yeah.
not a fan.
It's one of those fixtures that, you don't get the luxury of having every week. If it's not
Yeah.
Parramatta or the Tigers, it's like, oh, who are they playing this week? It's not going to be the same sort of game. He's not going to get 2, 100-meter tries.
So to correct myself, my bad, gave everyone a bit of a shit steer here. Brian Tyler is actually 120K more. He's at 776, but he's got a break-in of it of -30. So he's going to be your most expensive centre winger by far soon. And I'd be trying to find that. I wouldn't have a problem with going Val Holmes, as much as we say Supercoach and actual play is different. He's been playing really well. He's the second highest scoring centre wing, third highest scoring centre wing. Karaz is another, I'm looking at these, like if you've got Manu, you don't have every single one of these guys. You just haven't been able to afford them. So you've got some of these lower end ones. So he's another one. There's just so many options that I would rather do than try and get and go to price.
Yeah, no, 100%. Number 6, we're looking at Reid Marnie as well. So again, 2,800, and I would be pretty expected to see a fair majority of that is for Marshall King. So yeah, almost 1,000 of that is Marshall King. So, and the other 400 odd is Harry Grant. So it's kind of just get off Harry Grant at the moment. I suppose this week is really the big deterrent for Grant owners, because you don't want to not have him for 3 weeks in a row. Because that's just a bit excessive. Potentially 4 as well if he doesn't back up. So it's like a month. You don't want to be holding him. Number 7.
I don't like the Marnie trade in either.
Yeah.
You've got him this week, then he has the bye. But you want a 19 number.
I'd say so. I think if you're going to do that, just get him in 20 and just work out a different trade for yourself this week. That's kind of where I am. Hamoli Olakawatu, number 7. 2,490 traded in. 598.5K. This is about as cheap as he's ever going to get, isn't it? I think it's a great. Would you? Do it after Origin?
Yeah, I would.
If you're in a position to get him now, I reckon get him now.
Yep. Yeah. I said this on the last podcast yesterday. If I have other things that I can't put out because I don't have a boost, but if I could get him this week, he'd be my number 1 target. I don't need him necessarily. I've got some good options to play this week and next week, so I don't need it. But he's my number 1 buy, I think, for Olakau'atu. Like he's got the Cowboys this week, then Newcastle next week, then the Gold Coast the week after that, then the Roosters.
He won't play next week.
He's got Origin. Yeah. Although everyone's talking about him not playing, he might get dropped.
Well, that's the thing. There's every chance he doesn't.
Yeah, true.
And
that's why I like that option.
New South Wales, we pick and stick. After a win, we pick and stick.
Well,
you don't win
his
very
Origin
often,
minutes.
so I suppose.
No, he's played about 15 minutes each game, so it's not like he's necessary for the Blues side. Really, isn't done anything for him. It's just kind of unfortunate he's not available for the regular season. But look, I'm a big fan of the Olakau'atu play. I went into a few weeks ago, coming into this sort of round, thinking like he's definitely going to be my trade in for this week. And like a couple of weeks back, it was Nakora's going to be my trade for this particular week. And in a few weeks' time, I've got the same plan for Crichton. But Olakwatu was kind of my guy now, and I just feel like obviously with Marshall King and Manu going down, I don't really have the choice to do that. But again, like I love it, to be fair, and I just don't think. I think the numbers getting him in at the moment is just criminally low. Like he's averaging 70, and he's priced under 600. Like he's already underpriced by at least 120 odd K, just straight off that because of 2 low scoring games that he's happened recently. So I think you can put him in the category of, the top 4, I would say, when they're all going well.
Oh, without a doubt.
Yeah, between Fafita, Crichton, Katoa, Olakwatu falls number 4 for me. And you might even swap the last 2 around on their day. So, 100% viable starting option.
Give Thermal more respect, bro.
Look, no one gives Thermal more respect than me, mate. You know that. Number 8, Dom Young. God, it hurts not having him, doesn't it?
Nah, because I do.
Yeah, I know you do. Yeah, God. Yeah, I feel that one. Yeah. You reckon he's still a buy this week, even with the buy next week? And then the buy in another 4 weeks' time?
I think people are chasing points, unfortunately. I think you're chasing points here this week. Break even at 52, which is nothing for Dom Young, really, but still, what it means to me is that even if he punches his 70 or 80, which I think would be a very, very easy target against the Dragons. And look, I've spoken about the Roosters game against the Dragons this week, and the Dragons aren't an easy beat. So, anything could happen here. But yeah, no, I think you're chasing points after what he did last week. I would wait. I'd wait till 20.
Yeah.
Like he's a trade that you're making because you need a number for you. Well, this is not. He's a trade because you're chasing numbers. You're chasing that target of the lower price because you think he's going to go up. But I think with that one, you've got to really look at your numbers for 19.
Yeah, I think so as well. Speaking of numbers for 19, Ronaldo Mulatalo, 469. He went down. So I suppose last week you'd almost said, so this is the cheapest we'll get him. I think this is pretty much the cheapest we'll get him now. 51 break even against the Titans. I did see a little graphic before. I think Supercoach Experience put it up. The Titans haven't conceded a try to a left winger since round 5. That's absurd. From the Titans, can they break the duck?
Shout out to you, Sav. You gave me a lot of confidence being a Mulatalo owner and thinking how good I finally got someone around where he's going to score well. And then I've read that bloody post. Thank you.
It's brutal, isn't it? It's God, it puts a bit of doubt in your mind. You wouldn't think that edge defense for the Titans would be so strong, but yeah, shit. I guess they are. So, look, I still think it's a decent buy though. It's just the price.
Because you look at the draw. They got the Titans, the Tigers, a buy. That's a 3-team buy, so it's one of those annoying ones, and possibly Origin Stars being rested. Then you've got the Cowboys, and then you got the South Sydney Rabbitohs. That's the next 5, and you just on paper you're like, oh, Mulatalo is going to tear this one up, and it's just not been there.
Yeah.
You know what?
So annoying.
Yeah, agree.
As you said,
agree
the
totally.
price tag is okay, so you sort of wear it. Like last week, I brought him in. I just wear it because he got 41. Didn't pay an arm and a leg for him. Knew it was going to be one of those players that I just bring in and out of my team for fixtures. Most of those would be fixtures I'd normally play him in, but he just at the moment he has me second guessing everything. And the painful thing is, it's so early in the week this week. I pretty much have to play him. I feel like so he's in my starting lineup. So fingers crossed.
I love it, and I think you touched on some really good points, Joel. I agree entirely. I think, though, if you are not an owner, you've probably got some other fires to put out, and Mulatalo's not going to fix it for you. And I actually think the deterrent for Mulatalo is going to be round 20, the mini buy, where you do have your full list. Like you have to you just got to be careful. There's a lot of people who still own Hines. A lot of people went in on Nia Cora. A lot of people own Dylan Brown. So most people, not most, but a lot of high ranked players still have Talangi. Blaze Talangi.
Lomax.
I have Iro. You've got Lomax is another one.
Origin though for Lomax, so irrelevant. But
No, he
well,
had the buy.
I'm talking about
around
20,
20.
the mini
Yeah,
buy.
around 20. Yeah.
That's
Yeah,
right. So
it's
you've
huge,
got
man.
these options. You have to consider that with him, then, which is why I think Marzu is your option.
Yeah.
Yeah, in that respect, definitely. And then looking at the last number 10 on the list, let's get back into it. Tolotau Cooler. So yeah, look, I don't know. I don't know about this one.
That's a hope trade, and I like
Yeah,
it.
it
I
really
love
is.
it. But that
Do
is
ya?
very much a hope trade. I like it because I like the balls of the people to want to do it, and I'd love to know who those 1,000, what ranks those 1.9% of people have, because it's seriously ballsy. But
Let us know in the comments if you are one. Let us know.
yeah, because I really rate that trade, and I think it's a serious balls that you've got to make, and that's a big time pod move. I think Cooler's a gun, and
At fullback, yes.
I think at fullback he is a gun, and I really like it. However, there's a shitload of risk, and and the thing is, and as you've said, Jesse, many times now, and I heard you say it again on the live pod just before. Why the hell didn't they play Cooler for the last 4 weeks? Why haven't they done it? So that's the risk, right? And are they really putting Turbo into a center as just a bit of a blood, get match fit, and then are they really going to sit in there for the rest of the year? I don't think so. Turbo's too bloody good for that.
Yeah, I think so as
They've
well,
got a
man.
nice little run coming up as well. They've got the Cowboys this weekend, then they've got the Knights, then they've got the Titans, and then the Roosters, which is not great, and then a bye. So that next 3 games, if he can hold fullback for the next 3 weeks while Turbo's getting his fitness up, getting his body right, then potentially it could be one of the buys of the round. If not,
absolutely.
It could easily be. He could escalate. It could be. You could argue. It could be the top buy. He should be, but
love the balls.
I don't know. I liked what I've seen from Lehigh Hopewadi and him being in and around this squad still and on the bench. It's like where they use him? He's not a hooker.
No,
He's not a 5'8". He's not a half. He's literally a fullback. So what happens? I don't know what Seabold's plan is here, but there is that little bit of doubt.
Yeah, it's a bit of a weird one, but yeah, 434K, dual fullback center. You know, we know how good Cooler is, so yeah,
I'd
it
go
just
him
depends.
over Mulatalo, to be honest.
Yeah, I would, considering they play around 20, and he's a bit cheaper. And he's a fullback at this stage, as far as we're aware. Yeah, I would as well.
Like the Manly have got a good draw. They've got a bye in 22, which I don't think's a problem for anybody. Like I really like it. But I like it because of the guts of it, the balls of it. And I am very keen to see who has done it because, geez, you've got some serious kahunas.
Yeah, so again, it's another thing. It's a majority Manu trade out, and it gives you friggin' hell 200K, which is very handy. So for the traded outs, I'll just quickly go through these guys. Joey Manu, number 1 most traded out, has to be almost 20,000. So yeah, it's a lot. But again, it's a 4-week hold potentially if he's back. So it's like Joey Manu could be a pod come the end of the season if you still have him.
Potentially he's only missing 2 games, really.
Yeah,
like if it is only 4 weeks, but it's a fractured hand. Like
I don't see 4 weeks. How does Joey Manu play 4 weeks later after breaking his hand? Mr. Glue hands. Just glue his hands back together.
No one going Gatasi will be in the side by then, so it's all good. They get looked after.
Yeah.
It's all good. Sign them after June 30. It's all good. It's only a couple of days. It's all good.
He'll be right. Number 2, Jeremy Marshall King. God, it sucks owning both of them.
6 to 8 weeks.
Yeah, they both got to go. That's just painful. Sua Falongo, almost 5,000 people traded out. For this one, I don't know. I'd probably wait and see the team list. the 24-hour mail just to see if he's even going to be named or not. Because if he's still named at fullback, I still think he's a worthy hold.
You've got the benefit of the fact that they play early. So
and it's against the
there's
Tigers too.
There's still a lot of options. I still think Pappy doesn't play. I still think it's a bit of a Bellamy games, is mind games is happening here. And I just think because I don't see why. Like, what are you bringing him in for? Because you think it's going to be an easier game? Like, it's going to pissing down rain. It's a mud bath. It'll be, as you guys said last night. Like, I don't see why they're playing him. You're not going to get fit out of that. If anything, you're just going to make it worse and give him even more potential for an injury. And it's a foot injury for Pappy. Like, yeah, I just don't see why. And to me, that's obviously my Storm fan hat on a bit there for that. I don't like it. I don't see why we're doing it, and I don't think we need to. I really don't think it's it might be an uncomfortable game. I don't think we lose. I think we'll do enough to win if we get into the trenches for it. So yeah, I think he's I think he's going to be a late minute out. I'd be holding Sewer.
Harry Grant, number 4. So
up until today, I didn't even think about it. And then I saw the reasons and saw some of it and thought, you know what? It's actually a viable move. I can see why. I can see it. He's not playing this week. He's not playing next week. He potentially doesn't play the week after that. I understand.
Yeah, well, looking at his last 5-round average, it's 65, but last 3 round is 56. So he's been getting a little quieter lately. Obviously, Origin, backing up and that kind of thing. It's brought his scores down, but he's got a break even of 89. I suppose he's not the player that you look at and go, oh, break even's a worry, because you get Harry Grant, you kind of just leave him in the side forever. And you be content with it, but that's only if he's playing, and it doesn't seem like he's going to play for another 3 weeks. So
yeah. And the other thing to consider, right, is, does the Storm continue to push this lead in top spot, and do they end up getting 2 or 3 games ahead as they get to the last 5 or 6 and think, all right, well, this game against the Panthers, yeah, whatever, we'll just sit this out, and does he sit? How many times is he going to, Bronson Garlick has been playing some good footy. Do they keep using him as the 14 and Harry plays half a game? That's another option. Does the Storm start to click? Because we haven't really been playing super well. So when we've just been doing enough to win games. So when it does start to get together and our defense starts to restrict teams better, which pushes our attack, and we start to get leads and start winning by 20 and 30 points, do they then bench him again? These are all options that I think we've got to consider. And I didn't consider that until I got to this podcast, and I can see why people are doing it.
I'm going to reverse my trade, and I think I'm getting rid of Harry Grant. The more you boys are saying it, the more Lussick, enough. See you later. He's not playing again this year, so I don't even care. I'm done. Harry Grant obviously is a worry. Like, as you said, he's missing the next 2 games, possibly 3. Like, I know there's a chance he'll play straight against the Roosters post Origin, but there's no promise. Like, so far, the last 2 Origin games, Bellamy has chosen not to do it. So who's to say that's going to be any change? As we've seen in previous years, Bellamy then rests them all one more time before finals, because at this rate, they're going to be 2-3 wins ahead of everyone anyway. So it's not going to matter playing reserve grade players and stuff. The other thing I want to make note of, and it might not be a great point, but at the moment, Wishart's on fire. He's in the form of his life. Yep. Garlick is playing very well when he is at hooker as well. Munster's got to come back at some point. So I feel like Wishart will probably get the 14 spot. If not, it'll be Garlick. And I think Bellamy will play them for obviously not huge minutes, but a decent enough chunk of minutes to eat into Harry Grant's minutes. And we've seen how Queensland used Grant off the bench. And I actually think that gets his best football out of him. So it wouldn't surprise me if Grant's role moving up into finals is just that little bit less of a workload and get him really fit and firing and fresh for finals. And yeah, I think I'm off. I just got to work out who to go for, because you make very valid arguments for Cook, but I can understand the whole Grant thing now. And I'm sorry to say, Grant, but I think I'm off. I'm done.
I think it's a good move though, because you've got to look at total points for the rest of the year, and he's not going to play 2 games. So there's, at least 150-ish points that whoever you're going to get in is going to probably get for you over it. I just think I think it's a good move. And the more I keep talking about it, the more I've seen it here. And I think, I like it. Yeah. I like that move. And I don't like the 5K that have traded it out.
Yeah, I think it's a valid
3K,
move.
sorry.
3K, yeah. David Armstrong's number 5th most traded out. So, yeah, it's bloody surprising. People still have him. But I suppose you're one of them, Trav. So,
yeah, well, I haven't needed to trade him. And at 450, I haven't really, and for the fact is I've had floated from 300 to 600K in the bank for a while. So I haven't needed to push him down. And my center wings, I'm pretty happy with. I haven't had issues with that at the moment.
Yeah,
he's a good little trade to Cooler. Just take the punt, especially if you're down a few ranks, and if Cooler can smash some numbers the next few weeks at fullback, and you do that using a player that obviously isn't playing it anymore, why not take the punt? You're going to make 20K or something off it, and you could make even more once Cooler starts making some money with these fullback numbers.
100%. You can go a lot of places with him, actually. Obviously, depending on if you had any of these injuries, above him in the traded out list, obviously 450, you've got Cooler, you've got Mulatalo, you've got a fair few in the 500s. And then if you get yourself some like Joey Manu or Marshall King money, you can push him up to anyone 200K higher. So I feel like it's a nice little swing. He's in that middle bracket where you can go up or down comfortably. Sean's nickel clock stats number 6, 631. Yeah, I think it's a good trade out as well. I think, we've spoken a bit about why the Warriors are probably a bit of a concern, but super high break even, terribly low points output in the last 2 weeks.
And 2 buys coming.
And 2
buys coming.
Yeah. No, fair point. Jermaine Hopgood, number 7.
Unfortunately, injury.
Yeah. It's crazy seeing Jermaine Hopgood in the list because he's been so under the radar this year. Obviously, he's got to get himself back surgery, and I suppose he just hasn't really lit up to the points that he did last year, but neither have the Eels in the same breath. So it's like he's still scoring quite well when he was
still
playing.
Averages 67.
Yeah, it's still doing good things, but it was like, oh, well, he's priced accordingly. So I suppose you got to look elsewhere. But just a shame for him. It's just, I hope he comes back next season going well, but he'll be expensive next year too.
Well, yeah, he's dropped 100K. So you're going to get him at a good price. I think he'd probably, what's he priced? Is he priced at his averaged? I think he's pretty close to it.
Pretty much.
So you're pretty much going to get him at this price next year.
650 for Hopgood next year if he's fit, ready to go. Yeah, I don't mind it.
It's a good pod. It's a good pod because you're going to have your Crichtons fitting at 750, 800 for feed is going to be even higher. Ali Katoa is not going to be at very low price this light. And Nicker is going to be high as well. It's a good price.
They all are. They all were. You know what I mean? It just took a while to get back to them. So I don't mind it. Pierce Paul, number 8 most traded out right before the round 19 buy. Surely you just hold him. I don't know. Where are you going from Pierce Paul?
I'm trying to find. Mine's just stopping now. I don't know what they're training to.
What's his price point? What's his price tag?
He's 530K. His most traded out is for Olakau'atu, who doesn't play next round. So you're sacrificing around 19 number to get, I suppose, for a difference of 50K, one of the elite second rowers from a guy who was 345K to start. So I get it on that side, but again, it's I just keep him for 19. Get the number and then get Olakau'atu after Origin.
Yeah, and Olakau'atu is going to be pretty much the same price. I don't think he's going to drop. He's not going to rise too much. No. I see why though. They are playing a bit of roulette with the Knights in that row there for him in the back row. I can sort of see it. You just don't know. Dylan Lucas in and out, Frizzell playing in and out. I see why. I see the headaches and the problems, but I would keep it just solely because you've got a number for next week. Surely just don't play him this week.
Yeah, but it's like, the Pierce Paul's minutes have always been in question. Like I traded him a few weeks ago. But every time it comes through and he's off the bench and, you're worried about where he's going to start, there's always a late change. And then he comes in and he plays 80. It's not like he plays 50, 60. Like he plays 80 basically every single game that he's played all year, barring like 3 or 2 where he's played 40 minutes. So he's a full 80-minute player. But again, last week was just a shit score in a good night side. So, yeah, I guess, just hold him for next week if you can afford to. But I see why you'd go to Olakau'atu. Obviously, can't knock that. Morgan Smithies, number 9. I think, yeah, Morgan Smithies should have gone a little while ago now.
I was going to say,
Or-
I thought no one had him in their team by now.
Yeah,
Still
he's
15.
He's still owned by 25,000 people.
Mhm.
Still pretty heavy ownership. At 412k, like
What's his break even?
his break even's 49. So
You know
at
what?
40,
I actually don't like it. I would say if you still got him by now, at least get him past this weekend because it's a decent game matchup for him, like them against the Knights. Just run him through this week and then go. He's got the
well,
bye
they don't
next
play
week.
next week. Yeah,
Yeah,
That's what I
they've
mean.
got the bye.
Just
Yeah,
have
you
the
just
number this week, and if you have to play him, you've got he. I don't know. He could
It'd
go
be interesting
decent.
to know. I can't see what they've traded him from, or it's what they're trading him to, and whether they're getting in early for trades for next week. And
Yeah,
week.
maybe.
It's the same boat as Pierce Paul. His most traded to is to Olakau'atu, 188. And Koloamatangi as well, 100 people gone from Smithies to Koloamatangi. So they're going to be very happy doing that. That's going to be like a breath of fresh air for him in their side.
I love that.
Tangi's huge. Yeah.
Yeah,
Love
Koloamatangi's
that.
an awesome buy. You just don't really see much happening at the moment. And I suppose, yeah, Jackson Ford, 10th most traded out. He just got a jewel.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Enjoy the duel for at least a week, guys. Give yourself something, please.
You lump him in with the rest of the Warriors, though. Like I suppose, yeah, he's got a 76 break even. He's 476k. Like, good chance he's pretty low 400 soon enough, and then he's just a cheap second rower that you don't really want to play. So,
But he's not a nightmare.
no, he's not. That's the thing. Like, there's
He's
every
not a
chance if
nightmare.
he gets a second row spot, or what's he playing in prop?
He's already got his 2 FRF. He's playing, prop.
He's playing prop. So yeah, ideally, you'd want him on the edge. You want to play him at front row if you could, as far as his duels go. But yeah, that's it, man. That's the in and outs, I suppose, when you look at them up and down. So
Let's get into the trades so we can get out of here. So I appreciate everyone. A fair few have come through tonight, actually. So I really appreciate everyone sending us through, getting some advice. At this time of year, I think everyone's trying to really shore their teams up for this run home. For first one up, Brendan on Instagram message. He's got a little bit in here. So I just pretty much asked the question: would you trade Meany for Young? Now, how I reckon we do this? I'll just go 1 for 1 with the questions and basically just give me a yes or no and then a 10 to 15 second spill. We'll just get by these quickly. Trav, I'll go to you for this one. Meany for Young. I'm guessing it's Dom Young.
Yes.
Just because Dom Young's a freak.
Just because Dom Young's a freak, mate. Meany's not playing.
Yeah.
Meany's not playing and doesn't play next week. So he's got 2 out. And Young's going to play this week, and you've locked him in. So, yep. Yes.
I agree. Jesse, this one's from Cooper. I'll be honest, very undecided so far. CNK, I don't know what happened to the guy, to Ola, guessing Ola Kawatu, is the only locked trade. So he must have a few jewels he's able to do that with. So he must have like a Burbo or a Thermal or someone, and they just literally swap it down.
I'd say
Then he's
so.
got 11 trades left after that with 102k in the bank. And then he also wants to know is Manu a hold or a sell, but we've already answered that one. So don't go back into that one, Jesse. But yes or no to CNK to Ola?
Look, I think CNK is a sell, and I think Ola's a buy. So I'd probably have to say yes. It's an unusual way to do it. But But if it's your only way to do it, then yes, I can't really say much more than that. And I think, yeah, Manu's a sell. So
I
It'd be
agree.
interesting to see who he's putting in fullback.
Yeah,
could be
yeah, that'll
Blaze,
be.
Garrick, Iro. Could be bloody
I hope
anyone.
it is. I hope it's not an IRO. Like I hope you're actually going from. I hope you've still got a really good fullback. You're not like me, who's sitting on CNK as my number one at the moment.
Yeah, true.
Yeah.
If he's your second fullback,
because
then
if you're doing, I actually think if you're doing it as Jules, I tend to think he's probably not sitting with a really good another option. So I think you just need to think about that.
Got
maybe.
the one for Trav, the Wandering Rooster. Failongo to Price with 12 trades remaining and 270k cash left. Yes or no?
No, we've already spoken about that. No, too early. Don't go early on Price. Plus, you don't know too many unknowns of what you're doing, and also wait to see what Failongo does and whether he actually plays this week in the fullback with Pappenhausen out. I want to see that first, so I'd wait for that. And Failongo is a good price, so you've got plenty other options than downgrading.
I agree. Jesse, Instagram again, Robert.Golding. Is trading Sam Walker for Hines the smart thing to do, or would it be too risky to be a trap trade? So Sam Walker for Hines.
Sam Walker to Hines in the next 2 to 3 weeks is going to be probably one of the most popular ideas of trading. I think he's probably, if you've got Sam Hughes, probably a good chance you have. Sam Walker, you've got Hughes. You know what I mean? So yes, I think it is a good trade. But again, it's just dependent. You know what I mean? What's round 20 look like for you with Hines, with your buys? You can wait a week. I don't think I would. I think, I've got him and I'm keen to see. But yes, he is the trade. That's the way to get there. You have to rip someone off. You got to rip the Band-Aid off with one of the two. And I think it pretty much is. So just time it well
I remember
enough.
quickly we spoke about Sam Walker. I remember it was like a month or so ago, and we said he was probably a quick play, a decent play, a good play, but it wasn't someone you'd probably have as a keeper. So it was just about timing whenever Cleary or whenever Hines started to get his form back and the like. So probably
he's the
right
play.
there.
He's the guy out for sure.
Trav Sam.Wiggy got Hunt for Fogarty and got Gerbo for Alex Sarr and have 100k left. Who's Alex Sarr?
Safer?
Oh,
Alex
maybe,
Sarr.
yeah.
Alex Sarr is the number 2 draft pick that just went to the Atlanta Hawks in the NBA.
Oh, that's a big play. Must be Safer.
Wacky trades.
That must be his nickname that I've never heard before. So.
What did they say? Hunt
for Fogarty. I would not be doing that yet. Fogarty hasn't even been in the reserves yet. He's not even.
He's not back yet.
He's not back yet. No. And Hunt, as in
he won't play the next 2 weeks. Ben Hunt.
Yeah.
Yeah, Origin and a 20 buy.
Do you have any trades left after this, bro? Don't do it. Just hold off.
And Gerbo. Sorry, this is Trav's one, but it's got me bloody going, what?
I'd like to, maybe that might be one to send the League of Inches Facebook page or send a message to somebody so that we can have a look at it, because I think we might just need to digest it a little bit more, unpack that.
Finish your team.
Yeah,
I'm curious.
Finish your team and we will have a look. But Sarr, I'm guessing it has to be Alex Seyfarth. So the Facebook side of things. Now it's all Instagram pretty much tonight. No Facebook. Make sure the Facebook watchers out there.
Shout out to Instagram.
Yeah, Instagram always goes off with the Supercoach stuff. But that's it for tonight's show, ladies and gentlemen. So I really appreciate you having the last hour and 20 with us, spending it with us. Make sure you whack that like button for the video. Add some comments in as well. Comments help spread the video. It gets a bit more attention when there is a bit more engagement for the video. So we really do appreciate it. Make sure you welcome Trav in. He's been around now for about 2 or 3 weeks on the videos. So make sure he feels welcome. He's honestly a Supercoach whiz. You've seen me just sitting back, relaxing, listening to these two. It's like I'm listening to the show and I'm not even part of it. So just here to try and steer the ship somewhat, but my mind's blown after this. Jesse, thank you. It's been a big night.
Pleasure.
Live show into a big tradie show, probably the biggest tradie show we've done. So
Yeah, no,
Thank
it
you.
has been a big night. Yeah, bloody hell. Started a few hours ago, so gonna give the voice a rest, I think. But no, it's always a pleasure, mate. You know that.
mate, pleasure is all mine. Trav, thank you. Good luck to the Storm this week. You'll be putting a cricket score of 70 on the Tigers, so it's all good according to Jesse. Captain Hughes or Katoa, and your super coach is rocking.
Yep. Through the roof.
Let's go. Let's go, Keeney. Get on Keeney.
Yeah.
I might even go and find my man Keeney and wear it to show after he puts up 120.
And I'm off to go get rid of Harry Grant. I've now been convinced, and probably bring in Damien Cook for at least a short time. So thanks, guys. Thanks for listening. Appreciate the support as always. Have a great night, day, or whenever it is you're listening to it.